The Boston Public Schools are trying to enlist their alumni to help new graduates. To tell us about the Alumni Engagement Campaign recently launched with Mayor Walsh is our guest from the Boston Public Schools, the Managing Director and Senior Advisor of External Affairs, Dr. Makiba McCreary. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
You know, the way I describe this, it sounds like things that should be happening all the time, but what's really different about this?
I think that schools, individual schools, have done a good job, some of them, at re-engaging or keeping their graduates engaged. And other schools just have not been in the business of thinking about alumni engagement as a part of their day-to-day. So there's that. I think also what's different about this is it's really a district-wide initiative. This is about building a community across every school. If you went to BLS, or if you went to New Mission, or if you went to even an elementary school, we want to know where you are, what you're doing. We want to know that you're here in Boston, how you're thriving, how we can help you re-engage. That, I think, is a new way of thinking about our alumni.
Well, the normal way of thinking is that some schools keep sending you mail years after you've graduated, and they want you to come by and write them a check.
Correct.
But what do you mean by engagement here?
Our work is really focused on three things. We absolutely want the checks. So, of course, we would love to have folks give back and contribute financially, but we also really want to honor the idea that it's also about time, so service, back to schools and back to the district, and skills-based talent. So if you know how to think about science in a way that allows you to be successful at your current job at Vertex, we want you to come back and talk to our science teachers about how they might modify their curriculum to get it closer to real-world industry time instruction. That is really not something you can count in dollars.
Of course, the other thing is that you don't have to be in a very flourishing industry and making a whole lot of money. You could run a beauty salon or something, or be a hairdresser and still have something.
Who, by the way, do pretty well. So, yeah, I mean, we were able to feature, ironically, a dear friend of mine, Leanna Williams, who graduated from Madison Park High School. She graduated from the cosmetology track, and she went on to be a professional hairdresser and then start her own business in the heart of Roxbury. So she's an entrepreneur, and she continues to have that business today and has been incredibly successful. So not only do we get to talk about one of our graduates actually learning the skill set that they needed in their high school experience, but going on to contribute back to the community in a really meaningful way.
This is BNN News, and we're talking with Dr. Makiba McCreary from the Boston Public Schools. Of course, this program is mainly about the students who are just now graduating from the BPS or who recently did. And we're talking about networking. Explain how this would work.
So we want to make sure, one of the things that Boston Public Schools talks about all the time right now is the city of Boston is our classroom, and how we make sure that our students are ready for the 21st century skills that they'll need to be competitive out in the marketplace. And one of the linchpins to doing that is relationships. And so I need my private sector partners to welcome our students into their walls, into their buildings, to see what the work looks like, see what the space feels like, see how the relationships are managed. And a lot of our graduates are actually out there working in these amazing companies like Wayfair and other places. And we need our students to know that there are people who look like them, who come from their neighborhoods, and who live in the city, who are just like them. And that connection is invaluable.
Of course, the other thing going on here is that aside from the students with lots of potential and who are plugging away, you might have some graduates who've had some problems and might need some help with that as well.
Absolutely. The second part of this campaign is a reminder that we have resources that we should be sharing back to you. And this is not just Boston Public Schools, this is the city. And so there are incredible resources for returning citizens that the mayor's office has been offering. There are services for elderly. There are services for folks who still need to finish college. We have a college tuition program that is phenomenal that we want to make sure people know. There's free college options. We can give you your transcript. Sometimes the simplest things are the barriers to getting the path moving forward. And just being able to get your transcript could be an important part of that.
Why is that such a difficult thing to do sometimes?
Oh, I think that we put a lot of systems in place, and so we don't sort of make the bureaucracy simple to navigate. But in this digital age, we've figured out in the Office of External Affairs that we could take advantage of actually making it a click away. So if we can skip some of those different hiccups and different places where you sort of get stuck and you're not sure who to call or what to do, we can just say, click here. It'll take you to the place where you're looking for answers. We think that's helpful.
What do the alumni taking part in this program get out of it, you think?
So one of the things that we made sure was that this is not just about you had to have graduated. And so we want to count everybody as an alumni because we really think that it's all of the young people in the city that make our schools special and make the city special. What I hope that they will end up getting out of it is that they have pride, first of all, and that they're able to see how that's a reciprocal relationship. They can come back to their schools. They can go back to their elementary school if they are particularly connected to the elementary school they went to, or their middle school or high school. And they can spend time in the classroom, but they can also spend time bringing other friends along or working with the school leader to think about how they can contribute to a need that the school might have.
Of course, the other thing that occurs to me is that you're sometimes asking alums who went to the school system at a different time, when the student composition was totally different, and they're sort of reaching into a whole new territory. That appeals to people in a way, though, doesn't it?
I think so. I think that there's a disconnect. And I think it's easy to become disconnected once you move on and you start raising your family or you start, moving through your own network of professional experiences. You do lose track of what it feels like to be looking out from the school building, out of those windows as a student and thinking what my aspirations might be. We say that our graduates are going to be the innovators, the entrepreneurs, the advocates of the future. But they need us to come back and tell them what that looks like.
We should mention, and I think you hinted at this already, you don't have to be BPS K through 12 solidly here, right?
Absolutely not. No, all of us take many different journeys. I myself went to 6th and 7th grade at the Phyllis Wheatley Middle School. It's no longer there. It's a different school now, but I feel incredibly connected to my experience in Boston Public Schools. So I would join that alumni.
And the first step to plunge in here is just go to your website?
Please go to the website. It's very simple. It's alumni.bostonpublicschools.org. And all you need to do is fill out a very simple form, and we'll ping you after that with updates and information.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Makiba McCreary from the Boston Public Schools.